Good morning everyone. My name is Krishna. Today I am going to explain the topic of servlets. So before we start with servlets, we need to know few terms about regarding servlets. So one of them is web application. So web application is nothing but an application that runs on a web browser and provides dynamic web pages for a user to interact. It's nothing but a web application. In this definition, I use the term called dynamic web page. So first of all, we should know what is meant by web page. So web page is nothing but it is a screen visible inside a web browser. This is nothing but a web page. In this web page, there are two types. One is static web page and the second one is dynamic web page. Static web page means a web page which we can view, but we cannot interact. That is nothing but a static web page. And when it comes to dynamic web page, we can view the web page as well as interact with the web page. So, how these web pages work? Let's see first web server. Web client. There is a request response. So first, what is meant by web client? Web client is connected with a server. Web application will be run. That is nothing but a web client. When web application is put on a server, that is called as a web server. And when we send the information from web client to web server, that is nothing but a request in the form of request. And when the server send back request information from web server to web client, that is nothing but a response. So this request and the response will be shared in between the web client and web server in the form of web pages only. In the form of web pages. Why we are using servlets? Why we need servlets? So why we need servlets means the web server can understand only the static web page. Means we can only view the web page, but we cannot interact with the web page. So that's why the servlets comes into picture, and by using servlets we can extend the functionality of a web pages. That is nothing but dynamic web page. First, let's see how it will be executed. Client. Server. So the client will send a request in the form of HTML file, web page. For example, HTML. This is the request. Then response. Web server, there is a one thing that is called as web container. By using web container, we will be executing this serverless program. Inside that, there is a one thing called as deployment descriptor. So this deployment descriptor is nothing but a web.xml file. So why we are using this web.xml file? So if you want to interact between two languages, we need a web.xml file. So for example, if you take HTML and Java, if you want to interact between these two languages, we use web.xml. This will understand both the languages. And once the client will send a request to the server will send that to web container. Then the web container will search for the web.xml file. Then this web.xml file will search the servlets. It will call the servlets which they are processing. Then it will process the servlet and send back request to the client. This is how we will execute. We use HTML file. First we write HTML tag. Next, we don't need title tag and head tag. Directly I am using body tag. In this body tag, open and close. Closing of HTML tag. In this body, we are writing a form tag. Method. Here I am going to write a method called as get. So before going to start this HTML example, let's see what is meant by get method. Why we are using this method? So for that we need also HTML Java program as well. I am using a class name as Servlet. Extends HTTP servlet. So this HTTP servlet contains the server request and the response. And first it will the client will send the request and it will process that request and send back to the response. So here inside the class, if you want to call something, we use methods, right? Here I am using public void service HTTP request HTTP response these things we will write instead of next. So this is the basic Java program of a servlet, and here we are using servlet method. Why we are instead of servlet service method we write a get method here. So if we don't use get method, if we don't use get method here, it will, even though it will be executed, it is a default method and it will be executed automatically when this method will be called. That do method will be called. And there are two types of methods: do get method and do post method as well. In this do get method, why we are using do get method? For example, if we are adding two numbers, num1 and num2, we will see in the URL num1 and num2. But when it comes to do post method, we will not see those things num1 and num2 in the URL. We will use web.xml to interact between HTML and Java. So web app servlet, and the servlet class. Here we write class name, something we are writing, and closing this tag. Servlet name. We are writing something, whatever we want to write. Servlet name. Now closing this servlet. Next is servlet mapping. Servlet mapping. This servlet name. Servlet name. What we gave here, it should match here also. Same, we should do the same ABC and servlet name. Here we have to give the URL pattern. Suppose I am giving here as a URL pattern, and we have to close this tag. Servlet mapper. So we have to write this HTML, WebXML and Java. After writing this for execution, we have to go to the HTML file and click on, we have to right click or we have to run on the web browser. It will show what we are getting. If we are, for example, we are adding 2 numbers, that means the output will be third number by adding 2 numbers. That's it. Thank you.